Mr. Dympna, principal of Holy Rosary College from 1965 to 1990, in recognition of your exceptional contribution to this community, we invite you to celebrate with us. This is your life. Well, this story begins on the 8th of April 1921, when Jim Stack and Mary Cunningham, your parent, got married and settled happily in the family farm. They had 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls, and you were the second youngest in the family. And you were born, now you all know, on the 13th of August 1928, at home in my van South, Newtown Stand, County Kerry. Well, as we had ample funds after all the raffles you held, we took our camera and crew to my van to have a look at the place where you grew up, where you spent the first 19 years of your life. And here we see the village where you spent your childhood. A quiet sleepy town with a rural hut, a factor and sailor, and people going about their business. Remember that well, sister? Yeah. And the new post office. And a look of prosperity across the place. Now everywhere so neat and clean and tidy. The middle name over the top. Bring it back in there. The man Mrs. Wellington. And a new generation going on. Well, here we really did that out and hire a steering and helicopter to get this view of the farm where you were born. The farmhouse, as it is today, and look at the range of buildings at the back. Again, everything absolutely spotless, so neat and clean, and an old wicker pane up to the top corner, you see. A place, yeah, a place so full of memories of a happy childhood. And there's a picture of your parents looking over the wall of the old front garden. And if you look closely, you see a very shy and inquisitive girl looking out the door and wonder who that is. And here, what would be a very familiar sound to you that would bring back many happy memories. And the family that isn't those times with you. And here is a photograph of your brothers and sisters. From left to right, your brother Dick, who lives in the family home now. Yourself, your sister May, your brother John, your sister Brian, and your brother Tom. And with us tonight, we have your brother Dick, his wife, Tina, and then Julia.
My father, the old house, there was a tax house. My father had a taxer. So the taxer said he went there. My father was looking to the cow. So we decided that we came up to London, but that's a evening for us. And we went to the taxi practice to go up that, and we came to Community Kingian. So I never see her. And he didn't know he do it, so he thought he'd been to the fight again. So, with the look anyway, he got the show. My father got in and he came over. He told the story, we all did it. So thank you. Thank you.
Now, there is one point you always felt strongly about, as principal of a co-educational school, and that was that boys must wash the dishes. and not all of these left jobs to the girls. Well, you failed. Your own nephew Richard refused to watch cricket. And he finally gave in, and on account of the David dinner, he will do it to you now. But keep this video carefully. There's no guarantee you will ever do it again.
Dympna, you'll never try to see me doing this now.
And the man who said, Richard, your nephew. His talk and all. Now, we by no means finished there. We also have your brother Tom and his wife June and your niece Deirdre. We have your brother John, your niece Thomas, and her husband, Kevin O'Donnell. And now, your sister Lee, her husband Dennis, and your niece Anne, who was in her teeth for some time, with her husband Thomas, and all the Carson family. You have your youngest sister, Bryce, with her husband, Bob. Well, you missed the wedding of your nephew, David. Yeah, never mind. How did they get missed? You missed the wedding of your nephew, David, and Mary. They got married this day week. Well, David certainly missed you, and what's more, he missed your advice. So they decided to put off their honeymoon and come to see you. And here we have David and Mary, and now you see what happened. And you've only married a week. Well done, David, at your own back. At the tender age of 5, you started school and attended Morher National School. It was built in 1888, and we hope these pictures we have taken will help capture some of the memories that you can see. Your first day, Holy Communion, friends. When the school was demolished in 1992, the building is gone, but not the memory. And sister, can you think of anyone? Indeed you can. Yes. All good, I hope. Yes, indeed. And of course, it's sad to see the pile of rubble, but now, as you'll see in a moment, brand new school has taken its place. Not exactly the same size as you know. But we did manage to trace your first teacher, Mrs. Barrett, and she would like to say a few words to you now.
Hello, Sister Dympna. I'm delighted to have called this evening. I was your first teacher, and I prepared you for your first Holy Communion. I'm very glad to hear all the good news of you, and I hope I have something to do with your vocation. As a letter, I wish you every happiness and all good luck for many years to come.
Apart from your own school, we have some pictures from down memory lane of places you must have spent so many happy, carefree hours. The local creamery, as you might have seen it, with the creamery cars down side by side, the old Ford, where I'm sure you spent many days listening to the music of the anthem. And remember Father Dillon and Con Brosnan outside the old church, where I'm sure you lit many a penny candle. And now the new church, as it is today. And across the road, I'm sure you often play their beautiful grotto. You made your first Holy Communion in 1935, and you were confirmed in 1940. You then went to Leeds, the convent of Mercy Secondary School, and your best friends there are seen in this picture. Josie Stack and Peggy Hannon. And with us tonight, we have Josie and her husband, Brian Simony.
And we shared the same room for a few years. We had a lot of fun, but there's no doubt about it, she was there to get her exams, and her mother and the teachers and everyone were always very proud of her and could be. We spent our holidays, we visited each other in our homes, and I'll always remember her mother. She always gave us a lovely tea in the parlour, and I'm delighted to be here tonight.
I used to go to Josie's house for the night from...
Oh, and that's not all. But we also have your friend and neighbour, Mary Kennedy, and we hear you always stay with Mary when you were in Dublin.
I'm delighted to be here as well as sisters. You deserve for everything. And much more, I'm glad to be among the people of Mount Elio, and I thank them for all they've done.
Well, she hasn't been half of it yet. We also heard you were very listless as a youngster. Now, I know people from Mount Elio won't believe this, but we've been told you frequently climbed up on the roof of the house and ran along the top. Now, apparently, they could never fasten the pigs because you rode them around the yard. Now, they told me a few more stories, but, well, you're another never thing, and I won't mention them. When you were doing your evening service, two cousins tried in vain to get you to join the respective orders. Sister Stanislav, no longer with us, who was in the presentation conference in Cork, and Sister Irene, a Mercy sister. Now, if you look at the picture there, you'll see, you know, that there's many other offers as well, I'm quite sure. And you were a very fine young girl at 19 years of age. Now, I'm that brave to say that. joined by the following sisters. Now here on the bicycle, in 1947. Now here was your mother in Ballyfunny. Same summer. And no, it's not what you think. They're all family. Dick, your brother Dick, Bridie, yourself, and Tom. All taken that summer in 1947. When you finished school, your dearest wish was to be a primary school teacher. But there was one drawback. You could not sing. Right. Talk, yes, but sing, no. But nothing could put you off. And you saw an advertisement in the day's paper for an untrained teacher in Malton. You applied and got the job with the Sisters of the Christian Education. No, you're wrong. So, you left your native Kerry in August 1947 to follow your dream, where we must go now to follow your life. You went to East Malton, Surrey, in the summer of 1947 and turned up at St. Joseph's Convent, almost by accident. You would confuse the Sisters of the Christian Retreat with the Sisters of Christian Education. Now, can you remember what you said for your finger pressed back then, 46 years ago? Well, Sister Winifred will take us on a tour of St. Joseph's now.
St. Joseph's Convent School, as you knew it. This was the school building, and this the convent. Now it is the convent school, and the old school building is the middle school, St. Thomas More Middle School. The drive up to the front door is not quite as you knew it. To start off with it, it's not quite so tidy. At least the lilac trees haven't gone, although all three of the big conker trees, the big horse chestnuts that used to be in front of the convent, have all been blown down or cut down. There have been many changes. Most of them, though, are inside the building.
God moves in mysterious ways, because there you stayed, the Sisters of Christian Retreat. And this is the advertisement for St. Joseph's Convent, East Mosley. Boarding school for girls, day school for girls and little boys. Well, you spent 2 years at St. Joseph's as an untrained teacher. And Sister Marcel was headmistress at the time, and she would like to say a few words to you.
Yes.
Hi, Sister Dympna. Congratulations for the Order of the Day. My congratulations to you for 25 years of, what shall I say, hard work, lots of fun, many blessings. All right, have a good day. Sorry I'm not with you.
Well, we now have a very special photograph which should bring back some very happy memories to you. Now, and you'll help me out with this one, sister, because I'll tell you, only one person I know could get children to sit like that. Had a uniform. You know, no, not at all. Describe the uniform. What colour were they?
Navy, I maybe did the Navy uniform.
You must have got some shock when you came to Mount Bellew.
I'm sure of that.
And if you have the patience to wait long enough and get the size of the class that you had, and you'll see somebody sitting at the end. Yeah. I often meant to count them. There isn't a pin out of place. Yeah. And there she is. You know, still without her habit. And, you know, by the looks of things, you actually, you know, did quite well in teaching. Now, but during your 2 years, from 1947 to 49, you realised that you had a vocation. So now you packed your case once more and were off to France, to the beautiful convent in Fontenelle, Besançon, near the Swiss border, where you entered as a novice in August 1949. Well, you must have made a tremendous impression, because 40 years later, your school was the only school represented at the Orders Bicentenary celebration, where over 50 students from HRC were wined and dined for 2 weeks. It's a beautiful convent, and we were there, and Father Durkin down there will have fond memories of it, I hope. You know. And here we see you for the first time in the habit of a postulant. And of course, you were on the right, looking absolutely happy. Now, Sister Sophie, who spent many years in Tuam, would like to say a few words to you.
Remember Sister when she came back from the novitiate?
I do indeed.
Did you see a change in her?
I did, yes. She'd lost some of her weight.
She'd been a handsome, buxom lass, was she?
Yes. She was able to turn her hand to any job. Cleanliness, I remember how she helped to paint the ceiling. She was so tall. Could have an eye on her.
You were professed on the 2nd of February 1952 and returned to St. Joseph's Convent a few days later. In October 1952, you went to Reading University and did your degree in 1955 in Latin, history, I always knew it, and mathematics. You then spent 3 years on the staff of St. Joseph's. But in 1958, you were at top of the house once more as headmistress at the age of 30 of one of the largest schools in Britain. Now, wasn't it a good job she couldn't sing? And sister, what do you think of that? And sister, there's a little fellow without a tie. I don't know how you missed that. And there seems to be a huge gap in age between the front row. Is there any reason for that, sister? Oh, yes. And of course, there we see you as principal. And I can guarantee you it wasn't a whisper. Very nice indeed. Well, we know you worked very hard as headmistress, and one sister who spent some time with you now has some words to say to you. And you'll be very, very surprised because she's actually with us tonight, and here she comes. Sister Winifred.
And got a parking ticket. And we were too afraid to tell Mother Celestine about it.
I told you they were full of Dympna. During your time as headmistress, you put a lot of effort into everything you did, even going so far as to have your speech typed for the Senior Open Day in 1965. And I'm sure you're wondering where we got that. You also participated in the annual sports day. And sister, you might like to say something about that day.
Once a year we had a sports day, of course. It was always a fine day with a beautiful big lawn.
That's England, you see. Look what they did in the Grand National. You worked with Sister Ita for some time, and she would like to say a few words to you as well.
You remember Sister Dympna as Miss Stack, don't you?
Yes, of course. I first met her when I was about to enter the congregation myself, with Eileen Stack, I believe, teaching at the time. But I certainly remember her vitality and interest in schoolwork and a great love of the children, and zest for work. So I hope now that she's come into retirement that she's going to thoroughly enjoy it and nonetheless work quite as actively, perhaps in a different field.
Thank you very much, Sister.
I wish her all the best.
During the holidays, you spent your summer months in the convent in Broadstairs, which can be seen on this video. And this is where you worked on your holidays, on the timetable for the following September.
That's a familiar sound, the railway at Broadstairs. Do you remember the holidays we had here? You used often to bring your timetable when you were headmistress, to do it during your holidays. Not much of a relaxation. There's the statue of Our Lady in the garden, as it always used to be. And here's the new convent. Small, compact, but big enough for a much reduced community.
We now have some sisters who would like to say a few words. Unfortunately, Sister Patrick is no longer with us, but she had very fond memories of you.
Yes, I remember Sister Dympna. I heard remarks passed about her in the parish that she was a very good teacher, very devoted.
She was.
She was,
Yes.
indeed.
Do you remember anything else?
Also, I saw her with the children up in the dormitory, the little ones.
Oh, yes.
What a mother she was.
Yes.
And they loved her.
Yes.
And I think they used to toss their blankets about a little bit so that she'd come and rearrange them.
Thank
We
you.
were so pleased to see her.
Thank you, Sister. Sister Agatha, do you remember her when she came to the on holidays?
Yes, I always remember she had took a long step. We were hardly able to keep up with her. She twice as big as mine. And she was a very jovial sister.
Yes.
Very jovial and made jokes, to amuse others.
Thank you, Sister. Do you remember her?
I do. Yes,
Do you remember anything special?
Very well, yes. And she was always very nice. She never took the hop of anything,
No.
She didn't really. She was always very pleasant.
But perhaps all of you would like to send a message to Sister on this happy occasion.
Yes, we were all sisters.
Very happy day, happy retirement,
Yes.
and good fun, and thank you for all you've done.
Yes.
For the congregation.
You were a very caring and loving sister, and we know this because we traced your past pupil, Judith McLaren. And she's now happily married and known as Julie Tapley. She has this message for you.
Winifred went to St Edmund's Roman Catholic School, which is in Dover, to try and find out, I think, if I was teaching there still, to get a telephone number or contact with me. And she met my son there, Ian, who's 16, and he gave her the telephone number, and here I am. Interesting in a way that contact should be made with him at 16, when it was about that age that you and I first met. Do you remember September 1963, when a small contingent of Croft House girls descended upon St Joseph's Convent in their O-level year, and it was only due to you and the dedication of your staff that I think a lot of us achieved what we did. But it was 1964, I think, that we really first started a friendship. It was an art O-level mock exam, as I remember, where I went rushing from the room in a state of great emotion, not something I was in the habit of doing, and ran up the corridor of the main school, the corridor which no one was ever supposed to run up, and nearly went flying into you. I think your immediate response was one of recrimination, but seeing my distress, you very quickly took me off into what was then the domestic science room and administered tender loving care and a long conversation, of which many more were to follow, where we discussed life and religion amongst many things. Lots of arguments about that, where I swore I would never become a Catholic, and yet here, 28 years further on, with a husband whom I met at St Thomas More, the middle school of St Joseph's Convent, and with 3 children, we all attend Mass every week at St Paul's Roman Catholic Church in Dover, which only goes to show that God moves in mysterious ways, and that people we meet who touch our lives can affect decisions that we make later on in our lives. And you, Sister, certainly touched mine, and I hope will continue to do so, and many more other people, I'm sure, too, in whatever you go on to next. I'm sure people at Mount Bellew must be missing you now as much as we missed you when you first left in 1965. But no doubt you have other missions to accomplish. We don't see each other very often in those 28 years. Is it 4 or 5 times perhaps? And yet each time we meet, we have too much to say and too little time to say it in. And the letters in between times fill up the gaps. But I hope there might be another 28 years in which we can communicate. All the best, God bless you, and every happiness in your retirement.
Well, we also traced another past pupil of yours, whose mother, Mrs. McIntyre, worked in the kitchen of St. Joseph's. Her name is Jean, that's right, you'll never forget her. And she is now teaching in the Salesian School in Chertsey, in Surrey.
Now, I was asked how I remember Sister Dympna. I remember Miss Stack, first of all, when I was very little, a long time ago. I remember her because we had quite a lot of Irish young ladies arrive and teach and disappear again, but she was a little bit different to the run of the usual ones. She got a little bit of discipline and something about her that said, I'm different. You all know now what it is, but in those days we just knew that there was something. More recently, 1950s, I remember her coming to university and filling in as a sort of supply teacher, and we learnt an awful lot in those fill-in times. After that, I remember her as the person who would always take my kids into school when we were here for a few weeks or a month or something, and my kids got a lot out of that. And now, every time I see her, it's like meeting somebody I've known, well, I have known all my life, but as if she's never been away. She's always the same, always friendly, all those things that we all like to be. I would really like to wish you all the very best, but I'd just like to give you a little warning that retirement is never retirement, it's just something different. I can't see you sitting down and giving up at this point. I would say that this is probably the beginning of your life starting all over again, and you've got lots and lots and lots to do, and I only hope that we shall see more of you over here. I think it's our turn now.
Well, before we leave England, we have the Sisters of the Community of Kernsey Manor, Sister Ambrose, former provincial, Sister Anastasia, Sister Monica, Sister Kathleen, who spent some time at St. Jarlath's College in Tuam, and they would like to say their few words.
Mount Bellew in 1965 was vastly different from the Mount Bellew you are leading in 1991 due to your hard work and initiative and drive. Thank you for all you have done in the past 26 years in the name of the congregation, and I wish you a very happy, shall I say, dare I say, retirement? Well, thank you.
Sister Dympna, I've never worked with you or lived with you, and the only time I had the pleasure of your company was on my holiday in Switzerland, and there, well, you were everything to us all. You saw that we had our cups of tea, you saw that the milk jug was replenished, the biscuit tin was full, and you made sure each one had everything they needed, both at table and in their rooms. Thank you for your gay company, for making it a memorable holiday. May you now have every success and blessing in your new adventure. God bless you, Sister Dympna.
Well, now you might have some understanding of how Sister Dympna felt when she came to Woodlawn Station. On the evening of the 11th of August, 1965, you left the hustle and bustle of Euston Station, London, and travelled by boat from Holyhead to Dublin, and finally arrived at Woodlawn Station in the company of Mother Brendan, who is no longer with us, who was Mother Provincial at the time. And you were met at the station in Woodlawn by Paddy Owens, and here he is tonight with his wife Mary to tell us all about it. us exactly what happened when you picked her up in your car. Tell us about the car first.
It was a really good car. It was just the whistle wasn't on the way. So we arrived in Montpellier.
And did she find the convent?
This is where's the convent? The school. Yes, there was the convent first. That's the convent.
Yes. And was she very satisfied with it?
She was very happy.
Right.
Then she says, where's the school? So I said, you're looking at the school. And I think if I had a good car, I think she'd have gone back again.
So we can thank Paddy owns this car that we have her. And now, Mary, I say you have a few words to say as well. I say she calls you fairly often.
He did. 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, half 11 of a Saturday night, any night during the week, the key would turn in the back door and she'd say, don't worry, don't panic, it's only me. I'm only staying for 5 minutes. But we usually got her to stay for an hour or so to have a cup of tea and a chat. And she was one good friend to
Yes.
her own family. Very good friend.
So you told me.
Yes.
Right, Mary. Thank you very much. Well, sister, you arrived at the old convent. And when you drove in and at the front gate, it was the statue of Our Lady surrounded by shrubs and flowers in front of this beautiful Georgian two-story building that attracted your attention. Now, just give me your thoughts. I mean, there's no prefabs there, nothing, just the bare building at that stage. Tell me what you thought.
The building looked beautiful and there was a flower garden on either side and I was thrilled to see the statue of Our Lady. I was told it was called St. Philip's Convent, but it was Holy Rosary School, and I wonder how come it could be St. Philip's Convent and Holy Rosary School. But I kept wondering where the school was.
Well, people have been known to mix up schools before. I can wait 5 years for that.
I never forget the arrival of Woodlawn. I can tell you that from Jim Paddy. He never told us the car. The steering was like a wild horse. He couldn't hold it on the way home. I thought we'd have to walk the last lap that day, Paddy.
Right, okay, thanks. Now, Father Costello took you on a tour of the premises. And Father Costello is with us tonight. And we might let him say a few words. Right, Father. Just a few.
This is a wonderful occasion. It's nice to come back to Montpellier any time, but tonight's a very special time. It's a wonderful tribute to a woman who has made a tremendous contribution here to education in this town over a period of 25 years as principal of Holy Rosary College. If there were 3 things or 4 things that typify her, I would say she was a born teacher, wonderful leader, tremendous capacity for work. She worked day and night, I know. There's a little room up there over the main entrance to the Holy Rosary, the old Holy Rosary Convent. You'd see light there at any time, day or night. She worked. And, of course, she had a tremendous interest in her students and a tremendous interest in their background, their families and their parents. And, of course, when she came over here in 1965, that little house on the screen now was the only building. It was the old school, a school and a convent, a school for private school for girls and also convent for nuns. And I remember in 1965 she came over here and she had been working as principal in Molesey and totally and completely immersed in her job like she was here later. And she wasn't inclined to speak to me at all, as if I were responsible for it. I didn't have a hand at all in it. But anyway, when she did talk to me, the first question I remember she asked me was, where is the school? And we were standing inside the front door there. And I said, this is the school, whole and entire, so there's work to be done. So anyway, She knuckled down, she forgot about her school in Molesey. It was the year, if you remember, Donegal O'Malley brought in the free education and free transport. Boys and girls, the boys came in, everyone came to school, and we had boys for the first time. We had no toilets for them, so Paddy had to muster his forces and his troops to build toilets for the boys in a short notice. The basement was cleared out, and literally classes were stuck into every nook and cranny in that basement, and they were hanging from the roofs. So anytime you went down that stairs, you saw heads from every side. And there were people down there like Father Pat Donlan, and Francis Mahoney, and Vincent McElwin, and Tom McCormack. They never forgot the sound education they got in that basement. Never forgot it.
Okay.
Anyway, it's great to be here, and I'm pleased to pay tribute to a wonderful worker, a very pleasant person to work with, and I'm sure she's just as immersed in her work out in Scotland now as she was in Holy Rosary, and I wish her every luck and every prosperity in it. That's a very important job too, and she's doing a wonderful job in the pastoral field. We wish her every success. Congratulations, sister.
Well, thank you very much, Father. Very kind words. Now, up to the time that you arrived in Mount Bellew, the school had been a small girls' school with approximately 40 students, run by the Sisters of the Holy Ghost and Mary Immaculate, who returned to Texas in 1965. On the 7th of September 65, Holy Rosary College became a co-educational school with 79 students, 26 of whom were boys. Most of the first-year boys wore short pants. Well, here is a picture of a boy and a girl, representative of the first students in Holy Rosary College, Pat Donlan and Mary Keneally. And here tonight with us, we have Father Pat Donlan.
Sister Dympna, I was in hospital actually all week, and Grace phoned me there, and she ordered me, if I did make it tonight, to keep it very brief. But Grace, forgive me if I take more than 30 seconds, because Sister Dympna, you were not aware of this, but I've waited 30 years, 28 to be exact, to tell you that you were directly responsible for not only my vocation, but for changing the saddest, what I thought then was the saddest day of my life, into many years of happiness, because on the first Tuesday of September in 1964, I was sent away to boarding school, St. Charles College, Tuam, because there was no co-education secondary school here in Mount Bellew. And I remember my father, who was here tonight, it was the first Tuesday, we were at the pig market in Mount Bellew, which was a huge market in those days, and we sold the bonnets, and we delayed the inevitable as long as we could, off up to Gurteen, delivering bonnets with my father, and eventually I went off to boarding school. So I can assure you, 1 year later, in September of 1965, when I heard we could go locally, I was absolutely delighted. So for that, I never forget the day I met you. I'll never forget entering that convent there. That's me on the left. I've changed a lot, I know. Well, that's me.
You have the short pants.
Yeah, that's me. For the great and happy years we spent there. I cycled the 14 miles each day with my sisters, in and out, and we loved every moment of it. Not just the work now, mind you, but the sport and the drama and the reviews and, dare I say, the romance. That's how you're responsible for my vocation, because we had so many beautiful girls to choose from in those few years in Holy Rosary that I really had enough of romance when I left Holy Rosary. And I just want to thank the teachers who gave us the good example in the romantic field. Ina and Paddy. Once they fell in love, it gave all of us freedom to fall in love. So that's Paddy O'Boyle and Ina Roxbury. I finished by saying, Sister Dympna, I was proud to be your first Leaving Cert students. There was 4 of us down in that basement, 4 boys and 8 girls in 1969 who did our Leaving Cert. We had great and happy years. I finished by saying I don't speak for anybody other than myself. All 14 of my own family, all of whom through 3 different decades, 1960s, 1970s and 1980s, finishing with my youngest sister Alico, who finished and wasn't even born when I started. On their behalf, on behalf of my parents and anybody else I know, I thank you for bringing co-education to the northeast part of Galway. A lot has changed. If you look, the convent has changed. I have changed, certainly. Look at me. Paddy Boyle's car, if you look at it there, his
old Anglia,
Ford Anglia, that has changed. But one thing has not changed. Sister Dympna, you have not changed one iota. God bless you.
Well, the staff in 1965 were Mrs. Madden, Mrs. Finnerty, Father Costello, Mary O'Connor, and yourself, 5. In 1966, your first lay male staff member arrived in Holy Rosary, much to the delight of the girls. Mr., I call him Patrick for once, Patrick Boyle. You can, if you want.
What you said to me, I never forgive you for this. There's a lot of priests here tonight, so I'm fortunate I'll be able to get confession for all the lies I had to tell to get her here tonight. I told her that the parents' dance that we normally have around St. Patrick's night, that the parents decided to have it tonight instead. And she said, what? The night before the open day, how could you let them do such a thing? So, Sister Dympna, I'm sure I can speak for all of the teachers who have worked down to the years in Holy Rosary. When I say that every one of us have always admired your great interest in education, your commitment to the school. Father Costello has referred to that already. And above all, your concern for the pupils, and particularly for the weaker pupils. You've left Mount Balliol, a very, very fine school, and we are very, very proud, all of us, to work in it. And all we can promise you is that we will do our very, very best to maintain the very high standards that you set for Holy Rosary College. Thank you.
Don't go too far away, Paddy. We've more on you later on. Now, you purchased a new blue Volkswagen minibus, which cost £900. And Paddy Owen started a school run in the direction of Locht and Clonberne. That minibus changed its route to Killisolan after the introduction of free transport. On the 1st of December 1966, a group of boys went to the vocational school to have their first woodwork class, and you were very grateful to Mr. Kilban and Mr. Daly, who shared the woodwork facilities for many years. During the years 66-67, you got permission from Archbishop Welsh of Tuam to have benediction on First Fridays, and sometime later you started the practice of First Friday Mass. Sister Veronica joined you in the convent in that year and introduced dancing and crafts to the timetable, and she is here to say a few words to you.
words. I remember when Sister was when I was a postulant in East Morrissey, Sister used to take the boarders for recreation in the gym, and the record player used to be on, and the volume was so very high. I wondered how Sister could do her work in the office. And I said to her afterwards, how can you work so hard, you know, with all this noise on? And she said with a pronounced English accent, she said, I've become accustomed to it. I wish Sister very well in her new post in Scotland.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Well, now, the original Georgian building was soon too small for the growing number of students, and in 1966, stage one of the extension of Holy Rosary College began. And you can see there is a picture of the prefabs that still stand today. And Sister, you might tell us the story, how you got those.
Let me think first now. We got a grant at Problem Education. We didn't, sorry, not for that one. That was built by the Sisters Christian Retreat money, that particular building. And it cost £6,000. But the following year we got a grant for the building, for the prefabs on the other side, because there were no grants at that stage. And the beautiful, it was a vegetable garden that side, had to be rooted up, and Paddy wasn't a bit pleased, I think. He had to start working there. Paddy had to lay the foundations before Carlos from, I think, Tipperary, Kilkenny came to put the building up. And we had it ready for September 66, and we had a new science lab, which I was very proud of, actually.
Okay, look at that for a memory, you know. With the introduction of free education and free transport in 1967, the number of students increased dramatically, and 5 new teachers were added to staff. Miss Raftery, who introduced honours maths, I see her down there in the corner, and rumour has it, had an extraordinary effect on Mr. Boyle, who began writing musical reviews. Well, even the students noticed it. I'm sure so did you.
Thanks, Tina, for all you did. Those music reviews were marvellous.
Now, Mr. Quinn came then, and Sister Assumpta, who introduced Spanish, Miss Kirk and Miss Farrell. And here we have a photo of some of them. You can see there on the left, Miss Raftery. She might stand up and take a bow. Right, stand up, Ina. Come on. Now, later, last year, we brought some teachers from the early days of HRC together for an afternoon and videotaped them as they recalled happy memories of the old convent. Now, Father Costello, we have a full tape of the whole afternoon. You can watch it at your leisure time. Sister Assumpta, Sister Veronica, Mr. Boyle, Mr. Quinn. I think that fella, I don't know where he came from. Must be some fella trying to buy the place. Thanks for that one, Jerry. In 1967, saw the introduction of the first musical review on the market by, well, the said was Mr. Boyle. But 2 more reviews followed in 68 and 69. But the absence of a stage put an end to the school productions for 11 years. With the rebuilding of the community centre, 5 more HRC reviews have been staged since 1980. But here we have a short excerpt from one of them, the Chansey Brothers. Quinn had the even strings and the guitar. Now, you were very involved with the students and always encourage them to use their talents. And you thank the parents for their support at the end of each concert. And here we see you in action.
Parents, friends, staff and students, just once more, not to repeat what Mr. O'Brien said, just I couldn't let the occasion go without saying just one word of appreciation to many people who helped. Mr. O'Brien did thank most people there. I would like to add a word there to the hall committee who gave us the hall for the last 10 days, to the parents committee who manned doors and back alleys there and key places, and they were marvellous. We couldn't run without them. And indeed, to all the staff, it was said there that Miley hasn't a jealous bone in his body, but I think our staff has a lazy bone in their body. They're not allowed to have some. So thanks very much, because all the staff were very important.
Well done, sister. Now, very soon it became obvious that a completely new building was necessary for the increasing number of students and an expanding range of subjects. With the approval of the Department of Education and your hard work, Stage 1 of the new building programme was ready for use in 1970, followed by Stage 2 in 72 and Stage 3 in 1976. Stage 4 will be officially opened on Tuesday next, and you're all invited. Now, a former Minister for Education recalls your persistence and tireless efforts to get the building extended to what it is today. And she has a few words for you.
Sister Dympna, I'm sorry I can't be with you tonight and with all your friends for your very happy night celebrating 25 years in charge of Holy Rosary College in Montbellew. I hope you all have a lovely night, and I know that even though Sister Dympna is retiring from being principal of the college, that won't mean she'll lose one bit of her interest in the college itself, in the students and the parents and in the whole area. And if I was asked to identify what I think of Sister Dympna, I would say she's persistent and she keeps after her target. She wanted an extension, as we all know, to her school, and she never left me alone. She came to Athlone, she came to Dublin, she came to see me when I went to a social function. She was shameless. She got her way, and Montbellew is the better for it. So I would like to thank you for all your years of commitment to education, all of the young lives that you've touched and made better down through all those years. And I hope that in your retirement you will be as active in another way as you have been in the past 25. Thank you.
Well done. That was some tribute. The provision of extra classrooms enabled you to use the prefab classrooms for other purposes. Woodwork and mechanical drawing classes were introduced for all junior boys, and fully equipped rooms were provided in 1977. 1 year later, building construction and technical drawing were introduced for senior students. Even though these rooms were well appreciated in 1977, they do not compare with the new rooms in the latest extension. You always encouraged the students to participate in sports as much as possible. You taught the pupils to play rounders and croquet, I believe you started it yourself, in front of the new school, and every year brought an extra sport, and eventually the following sports were available to the students of Holy Rosary College: Gaelic football, soccer, hurling, camogie, basketball, handball, athletics, and volleyball. And the students of Holy Rosary College have won Connacht titles in most of the above sports. During the years, you organised several car drives, dances and bingo to raise funds for the new building. Jim Cronin, who was chairman of the Parents' Committee for a good number of years, knows the hard work you did in that area. And Jim is with us tonight to say a few words.
Very hard to say, or to take a long time to say, what I would like to say about Sister Dympna. I think I beat her into Montbellew for about 2 years, 63, 65. I've known Sister Dympna for many years. Education is lovely, but finance is another thing, you know. And every department, they don't like to part with money, even if it's not their own. So we had to try several ways of making money. And I remember, and I suppose Sister Dympna and myself can get the credit for introducing Progressive 25 into Montpellier and East Galway. I remember tonight, it was supposed to be over in an hour and a half. It would be if it happened today, but people didn't understand the game. So we started grand at 9 o'clock. We were halfway through when another big crowd came. They didn't understand the game, so they had to play their own game. So we finished about 6 o'clock in the morning. We made a few pounds. We had been going several auctions and sailor work. They all went very well, thanks to the help of the people around. Sister, you're looking very well. All I can say to you, you worked very hard. I wish you many, many, many years of health, happiness, and more hard work. Thank you, sister.
Well done, Jim. And now we have with us tonight two more representatives who would like to say a few words. Michael O'Reilly and Joe Myland.
From North Kerry to North Galway, Sister Dympna, she has left a monument educationally and in many, many aspects of good life. Around Sister Dympna, in this part of the world, she gives many lines of support, be that from in success or in sadness or sickness or bereavement. She was a great source of encouragement to all. And she was a very, very, very hard worker. When she left the vicinity, her name, you know, is Sister Dympna Stack. When she left the vicinity of the Stack Mountains in Kerry to join the Sisters of the Christian Retreat, she brought a bit of that mountain to Montpellier and has planted it up the road. So she has gone on to plough a deep furrow in Glasgow, and long may that continue. I'd say to the Sisters of the Christian Retreat, to her family, the Stacks and all the branches, and to the staff, and Sister Dympna herself in particular, very, very many thanks for all your hard and well-earned compliments.
Sister Dympna says don't tell any more secrets, but you know, it's more memories than secrets we have tonight, I think. And along with Sister Dympna having all our memories, we as parents have quite a few memories of Sister Dympna too. You know, our memories would be of her concern, first of all, for our families, of her kindness, and particularly our generosity. Because, you know, Sister Dympna was generous with the most valuable commodity of all. She was generous with her time, and for that I would like to thank you, Sister Dympna. And for the future, you know, we don't know, will it be Scotland, will it be France, or could we dare mention Montpellier once again? Whoever the future might find you, you would like you to remember that in Montpellier, there are very many people who will be always very proud to say we're friends of Sister Dympna. So just remember that.
Well, with the growing number of male students, you realise that agricultural science was a very important leaving cert subject and was suitable to the students who mostly came from a farming background. You were extremely grateful to the Franciscan brothers here in the agricultural college who shared their facilities with you, with your students, and taught them agricultural science until you were able to provide them the subject yourself at HRC. You were able to return the facilities to the Agricultural College by offering their students repeat subjects for their Leaving Cert. And to this day, we still have, because of you, a very close relationship with the Franciscan Brothers. And we all thank them sincerely for the use of their facilities once again tonight. And now, Brother Michael is here to say a few words to you.
Sister Dympna, on behalf of the Franciscan Brothers, it's my pleasure to welcome you, your immediate family, and all your friends to the Agricultural College here this evening. Right through your years in Montpellier, you have been very closely associated with us, both as a friend and as a next-door neighbour, and we are more than delighted to be able to make our facilities available tonight so that the people of Montpellier can pay this tribute to you. I know that Montpellier has been blessed by your presence. May I, just again on behalf of the brothers, wish you every happiness, and no doubt knowing you what will be an active retirement. And I know that the loyalty and the dedication that you've shown in this area will now be of great benefit to people in other parts of the world. Sister Dympna, just again, may I wish you every success, every happiness, and God's blessings always. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. As well as teaching in school, you were always admired for your help in caring for the needy people in our community. Every Christmas Eve, you made up parcels with lots of families, and drove around in your little Fiat car, and brought a lot of happiness and joy to people at this important time of year. You delivered toys, clothes, food to those families who would otherwise not have such a happy Christmas. You did this in a very quiet and discreet way, and nobody knows how many miles you clocked up on your little Fiat 127, which can be seen here on the video. Now, it's outside in the backyard. And sister, the minute you get back, there are the keys. And make sure you go up and drive it. And it hasn't moved since. That's what you think. You were also very kind to the elderly, and in particular to Mamie Kenny, who lived alone in a bungalow across from the convent. The Sisters of the Christian Retreat invited Mamie to their dinner table every day, up to the day she left Montpellier. She is now in the monastery nursing home in Cordondella, and even though she cannot be with you tonight, she has a message for you.
Sister Dympna, I'm sorry that I cannot be with you tonight on this special occasion. I have very happy memories of you, and even though I'm not with you in person, I am with you in spirit. God bless you, and many happy years in your retirement. I'm Sinead.
One of the most important events at the end of each school year was the prize giving day. You always made sure that the parish priest was there to present the individual and group awards. Father Murphy, no longer with us, helped you on many occasions. And since his death, Father Tobin has done the honour, and he is with us tonight.
I'm delighted to be here tonight to welcome Sister Dympna home. And I use the word advisedly, home, because I'm sure she'll always have a this soft spot for Montpellier. Now, like the rest of you, I remember her particularly as somebody very, very devoted to her school, to her work, almost to the extent of, overextending herself. But she did a great job and was always very, very active. But on a personal level, what I remember most about her is her encouragement always. If there was something going on in the parish, some project or other, she always said that it was great. Sometimes it wasn't great at all. But she made you feel as though it was. And for that I thank her, because it gives you a warm feeling to have somebody who appreciates things that are going on. So I'd just like to wish her, like everybody else has done, every happiness in her new work, and long may she be with us.
And incidentally, I noticed that Lil Tobin is sitting out there. She was your first secretary in HRC. Lil, take a bow. And speaking of secretaries, in 1981, the Department of Education appointed Anne Mannion as secretary to HRC. Anne and yourself had a very close relationship, and you both shared many secrets. I'd love to have heard them. From 1981 to 1990. Now, she's seen here in action, so busy, she didn't even know she was being filmed. Now, Anne, as you know, couldn't be with us tonight due to her granny's death, but she sent a message. And the gist of it is that in the beginning, when Anne started working, she made terrible blunders, terrible mistakes. But you always encouraged her, told her not to worry, it didn't matter. And to be honest, she claims she wouldn't be the secretary she is today, only for your encouragement. And she wants to thank you for that. In 1985-86, Holy Rosary College Past Pupils Union was formed. And with us tonight, we have the present chairman, David Devan. Now, David, you're going to have to say something. And the truth now, the whole truth.
Nothing but the truth. When Sister Dympna came to Montpellier in 1965, she began something that changed the life of this community and the surrounding areas in a way that nobody had ever done before, or I think could again. Her work and her dedication to the school, and developing it from about 70 pupils when she came to over 500 when she retired, and building from the convent, the old convent was there, to the large complex that's there today, I think is a great monument to her achievement and her success. Her dedication and her interest in her students didn't finish the day they walked out the gate having completed their Leaving Cert. Because her interest continued down the years, she followed their progress and their success. And when any of them had difficulties, she helped, particularly when families had bereavements, whether they were still in the school or afterwards. Sister Dympna was always one of the first people to be there with her words of sympathy and her hand of help. So I would like to say, on behalf of all past pupils, many of whom are here in Ireland and many of whom are spread throughout the world, I would like to say a very special thank you tonight to Sister Dympna on behalf of all these. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David. Now, one of the first students in HRC is also one of your closest friends who helped cater for numerous events down through the years. Meals, graduation, sporting victories, events too numerous to mention. And she is with us here tonight, and she's also doing the catering. Mrs. Ina Briggs.
want to congratulate Dympna, and I want to do this. So this is your cake.
See this cake over on the left of the stage? Somebody hold it up there, please. Paddy, hold it up high. Yeah, and don't let it fall. Right. And now, Ina, I'm sure you might have one special memory.
Memory.
Yes.
Well, I have many memories of Sister Dympna, of course. But the only thing, one memory, a funny incident I remember about Sister Dympna, it was the first past pupils reunion we had in Ballinasloe. And Lena Calleran and I had booked the band. The band was very slow in coming in. And Sister Dympna said, "Where's the band?" And she was getting very anxious. And next thing, those 6 boys appeared, and they had big pint glasses of Guinness and white collars on them, and she didn't take too kindly to that. I knew by the expression in her face she didn't take too kindly to it. When they started playing, we got over it all right, and she accepted them quite well. That's the only funny instance I could remember now, Sister Dympna. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, one lady who is the representative of Manona Heron would also like to wish you the best in your retirement. Now, the President, sent a letter that of course she couldn't be here, but she sends her warmest regards and best wishes to Sister Dympna on this special occasion. And we have the letter, and we'll give it to your sister. It'll be in the book. Well now, sister, we're very near the end of our show. But before our last 3 guests appear, we have a small little clip we'd like to show you. In 1965, there were 79 students. You can see there they look very tiny, very little, but that's the number that were in the school back in 1965. We tried to get them into the shape of 79, but it worked little. But now, in 1992, we have 550, all due to your hard work. And look at the little dears running back into class. So you see, they still come back in as quick as ever, It was 4 o'clock. Well, we've all been blessed with dedicated chaplains in Holy Rosary College. And our present chaplain is Father Higgins, who is with us tonight. Father Sean, you might like to say a few words.
Sister Dympna and friends, a good number of years ago, I was down in Westport one day and I went to a hotel there. And I saw a plaque on the wall which had been presented to the then owner of the hotel, Mickey Kavanagh, when he was leaving America a number of years before that. And part of it read as follows: "He was committed before the word became popular." And I thought it was a great tribute to a person, anybody, to have that said about him or her. And tonight, I think, when I was thinking about what to say, my mind went back immediately to those years, many years ago, back in Westport, to the words, "He was committed before the word became popular." And the same could be said of Sister Dympna. She was committed before the word became popular. Committed to the welfare of the pupils of Holy Rosary College, to the total person, their spiritual and temporal welfare. We might even say not only the pupils and the staff, and the families and parents of the pupils as well. And we try to do the best we can to keep up the good work since. I'd like to thank you, to congratulate you first of all on this 25 years Silver Jubilee as we're as Principal Holy Rosary College celebrating here tonight. To thank you for all you did for the school and the pupils down the years and staff. The standard just set, which is we try to come somewhere near as best we can. And especially on my own behalf, thank you for your kindness to myself during my years in Holy Rosary. I hope, I know you won't be retiring, but I hope and I'm sure you will continue to give commitment to the spiritual and temporal welfare of those people whom you come into you meet in life. Congratulations again, best wishes, and many, many happy years of happiness and joy.
And now, also with us tonight, we have Sister Melanie, Provincial Superior of the Order of the Sisters of the Christian Retreat. Sister Melanie.
Sister Dympna just said I'd tell lies like the rest of them. Yes, I have two confessions to make, I'm afraid, Sister. The first is that I knew about this for about the last year. And the second confession is that though I'm delighted to see you here tonight, Sister, this evening, I made every attempt to avoid meeting you this morning when we landed about the same time in Dublin Airport. It was a bit of a cat and mouse game, I think. Fortunately, for the first time, I was delighted that the plane was an hour late, so that the danger of meeting you was a bit lessened. But one thing I would like to say, and this is something that Sister Dympna said to me many, many years ago. She said that when she was given a job to do, she used to put herself into it, heart and soul. And I think this is a good description for me of Sister Dympna and everything that she's done here. And so, on behalf of the congregation, I would like to thank Sister for having put her heart and soul into the work of Mount Bellew, the school, the community, the wider community of the parish. So thank you, Sister, very much.
Well, I'm extremely worried about our last guest. You see, all our visitors were left outside in the bar. And, you know, this poor man, I just hope he's able to make the ramp. But our last guest was also a chaplain in our school from 1981 to 1982. And he too made it at the top. He's our Auxiliary Bishop of Tuam, Most Reverend Bishop Neary.
Sister Dympna, agus agreeing you to declare us to him. I feel very privileged to be associated with this worthy tribute to Sister Dympna tonight. I remember the first evening I came to Mount Bellew, I was very warmly welcomed by Father Michael Tobin. I felt it was better to go to the one that I know rather than I thought the devil that I didn't know. But Sister Dympna outlined my responsibilities for me on the staff of Holy Rosary College, and then she asked me a question that I've never been asked since. She said, "What size shoes do you take?" I was taken aback, and I said, "Why do you ask that question?" And she said, "Well, Father Liam Durkin and Father Paddy Costello took size 10, and you have to fill their shoes." I would would like to thank you, Sister Dympna, for the courage that you displayed on the staff as principal in Holy Rosary College, and for the way that you used that courage to encourage others. Your sensitivity towards students and their families, and particularly, I would say, towards the students who were inclined to be trouble-prone. And that was something that was inspirational, and I certainly learned an awful lot from you the year that I spent here. It's a year that will always remain with me. I have very happy and fond memories of it. And I want to thank you on behalf of many of your past staff, to thank you for your inspiration and encouragement, and for the tremendous work that you have done here in Mount Bellew and in the surrounding area in the field of education. Guillaume Rothje Art Igoni, Sister Dympna. The person who sent this message cannot be here himself tonight, but I have been asked to deliver it. The Holy Father cordially imparts the requested apostolic blessing to Sister Dympna Stack on the completion of 25 years of dedicated leadership at Holy Rosary College, Mount Bellew. His Holiness prays that Sister Dympna will always find great joy and peace in her religious consecration to our Lord Jesus Christ, and that her life of service in the Church will ever bear witness to the reality of God's love for his people.
Well, Sister Dympna Stack, we have a small little present here that we hope you'll treasure for many, many years. Up here, sister. This is your life. And now maybe she might say a few words, just a few.
I'm warning you, there's a doctor in the place. I'll be soon getting a heart attack. I haven't one already. My blood pressure must have gone sky high. Easy. You forgot that all the way from Kerry. You're welcome, Brian. How can I say thank you? Can I first say that I heard lots of lies tonight, of course, no doubt about that. Did you? When I was in school, they called it hyperbole. The Listowel people call it poetic license, I think, you know. It's allowed in such nostalgic occasions, isn't it? However, how can I say thank you to all of you? I certainly don't deserve it, of that I'm quite sure, because I got tremendous support here. I smiled to myself at some of the things you were saying as you came along there. I thought you mentioned there when the day I arrived at Woodlawn, I really thought we'd never get the last lap of the journey when I saw this place. And when I saw the back of the building, the old convent, I'll never forget the impression it made on me. Having said, where's the school? And then Father Costa showed me a room in the basement, which was full of junk. And this, he said, would have to be cleared out for second and third years. I think people like Pat Dunn and Anthony Hoare adorned that room their first year at Holy Rosary. Is that right, Father? After that, the 1st of September, the first Tuesday in September, we opened way back in 1965. I'll never forget that, because I'd never taught boys in my life, except small little boys you saw in that picture there. These fellas came in with their short pantses and the few bigger ones in second and third year, the Pat Donalds and Anthony Hoare, I can well remember. Thinking first year that Dominic Gallagher had short pants up to Interstart, actually. Peter Higgins and Paddy O'Grady and all those folk, could never forget them. But they were great years. We had very little accommodation. I have another abiding memory of the second prefab, which wasn't there, the prefab on the right-hand side, which was the woodwork room. A group from, I don't know, Kilkenny. It was pouring rain at the end of August, and it was supposed to be ready for the 1st of September. And I think the 2 nights beforehand, I went out. They had a candle light in these men. The rain was coming through the roof, and school was about to open in 2 days' time. And they were assuring me that we would have the building for the following Monday. And it was pouring rain. They couldn't get the electricity on because they couldn't get the roof. They couldn't get the roof on right, and the roof was never on right because it rained so much at the time. I'll never forget it. Throughout the years, if I'd anything to say, it would be the tremendous support and cooperation I got from you, the parents. And if I had time to talk about that, just to say thank you to each one of you. I well remember our first parent-teacher meeting. I even remember where some of the parents sat in what is, I think, is still the French room. It isn't the old convent room at the left. And from that on, we had a homeschool partnership. I don't think that the phrase was coined at the time, but certainly we had a homeschool partnership from that on. And I would thank Father Paddy Costa in a great way for starting that very first meeting in the course of 1965. And the item of the agenda of that meeting, guess what? Uniform was on top of the agenda. And the boys escaped, the girls got some uniform. However, throughout the years, my abiding memory is cooperation, goodwill, all the way from parents. I must say that, and from 3 groups of people make up a school. First of all, the parents, and I've mentioned your cooperation was just tremendous from the beginning. You came to meeting after meeting, time after time. You must have been sick of it at times, and yet you came. And I would mention in particular the Parents Association, which from the start went very well. Mrs. Finnerty actually was the very first, she pioneered that project. She was the first chairperson of the Parents Association in 1974. I think we had one before most schools actually. Followed up, I think, by, was Jim Cronin after you? Jim Cronin, Mike O'Reilly, isn't that right? I'm getting lost. Joe Myland, of course, yes, after that. And when I'm speaking about the chairpersons, can I also mention the secretaries? They did absolutely Trojan work. Mick Finnerty, Mrs. Hoare, Michael O'Reilly was secretary as well, Mary Ryan, Maura Calderon. If I left somebody out there, they did tremendous work. So we owe it to the parents. They were number one in the parent, in the home school as our partnership we have. Number 2 on that, of course, is the staff. I think we had the finest staff that Ireland could have. We were very, very lucky. And I'm not just saying that. And I remember each one as they came along. Yes, we started with 5 people. Yes, Grace, I remember the day I interviewed you, all right? I remember the amazing Grace joined us. I couldn't omit it. And her band joined us as well with school dances, and the amazing Grace produced all the music, didn't you, Grace? Is that right? But we had a very fine staff, and I'm not just saying that now. They worked Trojan work. We had parent-teacher meetings were held at night. They went on to 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and nobody seemed to be in a hurry. And they were travelling from Galway and Tuam and Loughrea at that time. Mentioning a while ago when Paddy Boyle joined the staff, this tall, dark and handsome man, and the girls, of course, didn't have much history in Latin and English after that, I'm afraid. You see, Father Costa, the staff became co-ed that year. Father Costa was neutral gender the year before, of course. So...
No problem, Father.
But we certainly had a very fine staff. And if you knew the time that was put into the background, I'm thinking of the plays and the all-night sessions and the matches and all the competitions, you name them. There was the thing going on that the staff didn't do. I had nothing whatever to do with any of those things. Right down, they worked day and night. They worked tremendously hard. And certainly the parents and past pupils, you can be very proud of the staff that Mount Bellew had. They were a fine bunch of people to work with, every single one of them. We had different We worked well. We had differences of opinion, but we learned to disagree agreeably. Isn't that right, Jerry? And we all worked together, and our staff had a tremendous interest in the pupils and their parents. Most staff, and I think I'm right in saying this, a lot of schools had a lot of trouble in getting parent-teachers associations going because the staff were afraid of parents. Our staff were never afraid of parents. From the beginning, I was encouraged by the staff to go ahead and get the parents involved in the school. and I wouldn't have done it otherwise. So it's again, thanks to the staff, and it was a very wise move. And I think if there's anything special about HRC, I think it is the involvement of parents in it right down through the years. So thank you very much, parents and staff. So I just mentioned the third group in the partnership course are the important people from whom the school exists, and that's the students, the young people. And we've had some tremendous young people from, as I said, the Peggy O'Grady's and Dominic Gallagher's and Short Pants's and the O'Reillys cycling down from Skahana and coming in a half an hour late. That was before we had the buses and so forth, you know, all over the place. Right down until the more sophisticated young people we have now, much more sophisticated. Indeed, they weren't going off to French's on a Saturday night either, I can tell you. In those days. But we had tremendous students, and I mean all of them, and I do hope that they did feel accepted. I hope they felt special, and it gives me an opportunity, as well as saying thank you, it's easy to say thank you, it gives me an opportunity publicly to say I'm very sorry if I hurt anybody or if I failed anybody, and naturally being a human being I did. Lost my temper a few times and sent people to Jericho, no doubt. So I apologise, and I count on your forgiveness, those of you who are here, and you can pass the message to the others. I pray every day for everyone who has anything to do with Holy Rosary. It has been a tremendous part of my life. When people ask me over in Glasgow where I'm from, I say, do I say Galway or Kerry? Which do I say? Thank you very much. And those three groups of people certainly have made HRC what it is, and it still is what it is. Shay mentioned something about swimming. Thanks, Shay, for trying to teach me to swim. Dick McCarthy tried as well and failed hopelessly, the two of you did. I still can't swim, Shay and Dick. But thanks for trying. One of them in Ballyhaig and the other one in Ballybunion. I got splashed around the water many times. And can I say welcome to the Kerry folk? This is truly a surprise. What brought you all here in the name of God? The farmers are badly off in Ireland. They can afford to come up from Kerry in the middle of the spring work. Well, they're badly off, you know. Some of them. Thanks for coming. It's certainly a very big surprise. I nearly got a heart attack. I began to get butterflies there for a long time. Am I finished? If I had a word to say to you, it would be family life. Develop it, help it to grow. From my experience working over in the suburbs of Glasgow, there is just no family life there, and that's what's gone wrong. It's a very violent place. I know we have a breakdown in family life in Ireland as well. Do everything you can. We should sit down together, pray together, eat together, talk together, go to church together, help the parish together, and stay together. And you know, the EC and the Maastricht Treaty will not solve our problems, but the family units in Ireland will solve our problems. And my answer to say it would be, please, families, stay together, do your best to develop and continue the spirit of family life we always had in Ireland. I'm glad I worked in Glasgow for a while. It's a tremendous experience, but I have seen some atrocious things happen there, and it's all due to lack of family life there. So I would appeal to you, whatever goes on in Ireland, will you stick to family life and what children deserve, a mum and a dad, isn't that right? And they need both at the same time. There's a little area in Barhead. If I had time, I would tell you what I do. I visit a poor area. And you know, where there are 4 children in the house, you can be sure there are 2 or 3 fathers in a certain section of our parish. And they're all Catholic, mind you, as well. So family life is broken down completely in Scotland. They never eat together. In fact, I discovered the houses don't have any tables over there. You get your bit of food, you sit in front of the television, you have your bit from the fridge when you feel like it. It's very important, the family meal. So Shay and Mary, that's my advice. I didn't give them the wedding day. There it is. I set out to say a very sincere thank you from the very bottom of my heart, and that's all I have to give you, is a thank you from the bottom of my heart. As I said, I pray daily. I now have more time to spend before the Blessed Sacrament exposed, because I'm involved in retreat work and we're on duty there, and I have a lot of time there, and somehow or other people flash across my mind, people that I'd met years ago. It's just amazing sometimes when I'm praying for the school, the people that do flash across my mind. So thank you very much, each one. Now I know where Paddy Boyd, I was travelling over here on Monday to get here on Tuesday, and he says, can you not come on Saturday for a dance on Saturday night? A dance, how are you? That too, we'll have that as well. However, I feel totally inadequate. I still say you told an awful lot of lies. Don't forgive you for all that. An awful lot. However, that's allowed. But I do want to say a very personal thank you, and I still expect to be forgiven. I hope I didn't ever follow up with anybody. I don't hold anything in my heart against anybody in the area, and I hope nobody does. And I hope anyone that couldn't get here tonight, it isn't because they just didn't want to come. Special thank you to the staff. On my own personal note, I could never have managed without you. You were really and truly wonderful. And thanks very much. Parents, staff, students, past and present, I'm proud of you. I love HRC. I've left my heart there, and that's where I am. Thanks very much. God bless you.
Now, you never know, maybe Mr. Boyle has another little surprise. You might come up, Patty.
The book you got, sister, is This Is Your Life, but we have another little present as well for you. And on behalf of the parents, I'd like to invite Joe Myland and Tom Gilmore, the present chairman, and Tom Gilmore and the past chairman, immediate past chairman Joe Myland, to join us. And on behalf of the past pupils, I'd like to ask David DeBan to join us, and Anne Mannion was to join us at this point as well, and she regrets that she can't be here, but I know you met her this evening at her grandmother's funeral, and I said to her, I was talking to her earlier on today, and I said to her, I'm sure that it would mean a lot to Sister Dympna that she was lucky enough to be in Ireland today and in County Galway today to go to the funeral of your grandmother, because she knew her very, very well. And I'm glad that not that Anne's grandmother died, but she lived a great age, and she died a very, very peaceful death in her own home, in her own bed. And as I say, I'm very, very glad that Sister Dympna was able to be at that funeral today. On behalf of the present pupils, the prefects are here tonight. I'd like to ask the head girl, Helen Kinsella, and the head boy, Alan O'Regan, to join us on the stand as well. And on behalf of all the friends of the school, I'd like Bishop Leary to represent the friends of Holy Rosary College, many of whom spoke to me and spoke to the parents who were involved in organising this function over the last few weeks. And I was surprised, but I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised by the number of people I met downtown, met in Briggs when I went down for lunch, who said to me, and there were people who had never had any student in the school at all, but they said to me they wanted to be associated with this night, and they wanted to be associated with the presentation to Sister Dympna, because they recognised the work that she had done. We've all combined together, sister, parents and teachers, and I represent the teachers because this place is getting crowded up here. The teachers and the past pupils and the present pupils, we've combined together our resources to present you with a trip to the Holy Land. I have a voucher here which just tells you this and invites you to make the arrangements yourself at your own convenience, and let us know when you want to go, and we will look after everything else. So I'm very, very happy to present you with this. And from the pupils, Helen would like to, our head girl, would like to present you with a bouquet of flowers. And Alan O'Regan, our head boy, will present you with a radio cassette recorder so that you can listen to a bit of music as you go. Now, there's one other little presentation we want to make tonight, and it's also a surprise, and it might even be a surprise to some of the people up here. But as we celebrate 25 years of service by Sister Dympna to the school, just at the end of March, another person completed 40 years of service to Holy Rosary College. And I refer, of course, to our genial caretaker and man, I wouldn't call him Jack of all trades, but I call him Paddy of all trades, Paddy Owens. I'd like Paddy to come and join us here to receive a little presentation, and I've asked Sister Dympna to make the presentation to him. Paddy is, as I say, our caretaker. He's drives our minibus. He fixes the taps that are leaking and keeps the place together. And anytime anyone comes in, they always remark on how well the place is kept, and it's a great credit to Paddy and our cleaner, Mrs. Teresa Kilcommons, who's also here tonight. But it's Paddy's night also, and I'm sure Sister Dympna will be very, very happy to share it with him. And a man who works as hard as Paddy deserves a rest, so we've arranged for Paddy and his wife Mary, also a great friend of the school, a weekend for two in a great southern hotel. I'd like to thank all of you for coming here tonight and making this night so wonderful and such a happy memory. But there are a lot of people who deserve a very, very special thanks for the work that they put into this night. I'd like to thank our MC, Gabriel O'Connor. We selected him to do the job because a great historian himself, and who better to deal with the history of 25 years. He's used to dealing with the history of 2,500 years. So 25 years is no bother at all. I'd like to thank our Vice Principal Matt Quinn, our John Fahey, our computer wizard, but he also, I think, controlled the sound tonight. Jerry Niles, who is responsible for a lot of the technology that's here tonight, and videos, and I think half the school seems to be down here. I was wondering where all the furniture was this evening when I was going around. The television sets are all down here, the videos. I'd like to thank Maureen Welch, who controlled the people outside in the bar and made sure they didn't get too drunk before they came in here. Dorothy Mitchell and Maura Conroy, who did the programme and the BPT class. Anne Mannion, I wouldn't be able to list all the things that Anne Mannion did in the course of the last few weeks organising this. And Paddy Owens, of course, also, who did all the work of shifting things here and there, and no sooner had he brought something up to the agricultural college and came down, then he found that they had forgotten something and they wanted something else up there. Our retired teachers, Peggy Finnerty and Nellie Madden, and Lil Tobin had the job of entertaining Sister Dympna today. And I'm sure, hope they did it very well. Particularly because their plans had to be changed many, many times. I was supposed to be able to persuade Sister Dympna to come to Ireland and to fly into Dublin Airport yesterday, on the Friday. Wasn't able to do that. The best I could do was to get her to come on this morning, on Saturday. And the plans had been altered accordingly, and then there was the funeral this evening, but Mrs. Finnerty and Mrs. Madden managed to adjust the plans and get her here on time as well. I'd like to thank the officers of the Parents' Committee, the past officers and present officers, Jim Cronin, Tom Gilmore, Valerie Kinsella, our present secretary, Joe Myland, and Michael O'Reilly, for all the work that they did, and the entire Parents' Committee for all the work that they did in organising the event and in raising the subscriptions from all of those who wanted to contribute. And the message that many of them brought back to us was that in fact it was an easy task to do, because so many wished to be part of such a presentation. I'd like to thank the VPT class, the Secretariat class of HRC, and Martin Melody, one of the prefects, for their work on producing this programme, and also for being here tonight to show people around. In fact, when I drove into the car park tonight, I found two of the Secretariat class, two girls, standing across the gateway, and I almost didn't get in. In fact, I had to let down the window of the car and identify myself before I was let in. I'd like to thank Mrs. Ina Briggs for the beautiful cake that she made, and for the catering, and for being such a great friend of the school when providing a home from home for us down through the years. I'd like to thank the brothers and staff. I'd like to thank the brothers and staff of the Franciscan Agricultural College, as they, for making their facilities available to us tonight, and not alone tonight, but in fact down through the years for the study of agricultural science. I'd like to thank a past pupil who has been of tremendous assistance to us, Jerry Costello, photographer. Down there behind the camera, as usual. A very quiet and shy man. He's usually to be found behind the camera rather than in front of it. But Jerry has spent endless hours in the school. He's almost one of the staff at this stage in preparing the video segments that you saw there tonight, and together with Jerry Nihil editing them down. There was enough material, I'd say, for a 3-hour programme. But we have all the footage that was shot. We have it, the full 3-hour video available for Sister Dympna to look at her leisure, if she ever has any leisure. And finally, last and certainly not least, I have to thank the person who was responsible for the idea in the first place. And not alone responsible for it, but who was determined to carry it out, and who didn't give us any of us a minute's peace until she did carry it out. And that is Grace Morris. And I'd like to thank her husband and children who had to put up with it all for, I'm sure it's nearly a year, because she's been talking about it for certainly a year, if not more. And Grace made her way to Kerry and spent a weekend down there, and slept in Sister Dympna's bed. And I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it wasn't anybody else anyway. After all, and did all the video recording of all the scenes down there. and got to know every member of the family and interviewed them and traced the friends and interviewed them and arranged for them to come here to Mount Bellew this evening in great secrecy, and that no way was Sister Dympna to know they were there, and to rehearse the programme with them and so on. Grace, you've done an amazing feat, but what else could we expect from Amazing Grace? And that brings this part of the proceedings to a close. Thank you very much again for coming. Thank you, Sister Dympna, particularly for coming. And we say, here's to the next 25. Thank you.